Are you ready to imagine? Imagine figure skater? That's right. I'm going in deep and plan to do the unimaginable by playing all 45 games of the Imagine series. Wish me luck and spare me some of your sanity because I'm really going to need it after speaking to a therapist about this. I don't think I'm ever going to step foot in an ice rink again, especially knowing that penguins might be looming around ready to terrorize me. I'll be honest here. After doing some research on this game, and knowing that it first released in Japan as Kuru Kuru, Princess Figure de Kita Kita Kori no Angel, I thought it might not actually be that bad. It had this cute little anime art style, some animations that really reminded me of Rhythm Heaven, and a visual novel component that I found quite interesting. I was kind of blown away by its early presentation. It was so reminiscent of Ace Attorney that it made me believe I stumbled across a hidden gem. You first start the game with 3 playable characters, Isabelle, Jessica, and Val. I watched another playthrough to see if there were any textual differences, and there doesn't seem to be any, but still, having 3 different selections right from the beginning is pretty cool. Something to note is you encounter the other girls you did not pick as opposing rivals, depending on who you started off with. I picked Jessica, the girl with black hair, so Isabelle became my childhood rival, while Val, the blonde girl, appeared later on to become a future rival. Upon starting, you get introduced to Coach Summers, a famous figure skater coach who trained many greats, now including you. There's not really much to her in the beginning. She just assigns you to learn the double toe loop and to find a method to raise your stamina. Before doing so, you are greeted by this small map area with a colorful art scheme that lets you access many different locations to pass the time. There's a school, your home, an ice skating shop, and a gym to start off, but more areas unlock as you progress throughout the game. The ice skating shop is neat. It lets you buy accessories that raise your artistry score once you perform in competitions. The first item I bought was boxing gloves. I had a deep desire to know what it would be like if Little Mac was a figure skater in my teen years. Don't ask. So I feel like this item was made specifically for me. After leaving the ice skating shop, we headed over to the training center. To raise our stats, we had to complete minigames, horrible repetitive minigames that you get tired of real fast. The first one we encounter has us eat sushi. Yeah, I don't know, when going to a training center, you would expect to raise your stats using a treadmill or an elliptical machine or something, but nope, you must bulk up and bulk up some more by devouring food. Which is weird because Coach Summers hates us straying away from our usual diet plan. You'll learn about this later, but some weird body shaming occurs in this game and it's just baffling considering this game is targeted towards young girls. After finishing our quote-unquote training, we head back to the ice rink and learn our very first figure skater technique. This is where I thought this game might be saved, in the actual gameplay while doing figure skating techniques. The premise of how to perform these techniques involves you having to perform set patterns in a specific way, kind of like a rhythm game. More specifically like Elite Beat Agents or OSU. When I first saw this, I was pumped. I love rhythm games, and having this element really had me excited for how competitions in this game were going to play out. I thought to myself that to complete and beat competitions, a unique song was to play as we had to use patterns in a certain time frame, and I was half right. Unfortunately for me, that half wrong really killed the game for me. For now, let me explain the next way to boost our next stat, coordination. We had to kill penguins in an ice rink with stones. I'm not even kidding, the actual text tells us to curl stones on the sliding penguins to knock them off the ice rink. I did not expect animal cruelty in this game. This was the biggest shock to me. After murdering poor defenseless animals, our coordination level increases, and it's now time to learn our second technique, the stand spin. To perform the stand spin, you have to move your stylus fast in the highlighted area. It's way easier than having to draw a circle, considering I had to play this on an emulator. The last stat we had to level up is artistry. We do this by making our way to a museum where a hands-on cake decorating competition is being held by Alan, the most mysterious character in this game. Not because of what he says, no, but because after you first encounter him, he never says anything new to you unless he is introducing a new minigame or you complete the game. He is my favorite character. To do the cake decoration minigame, you have to try and match the decorations on top with your placement on the bottom. Kind of like trying to pick out clothes for your hot date waiting for you at Subway. The last technique we learned before our first competition is the double salchow, and this is harder than some of the patterns the game considers difficult late game. To complete a double salchow, you have to draw 2 lightning bolts. Playing on an emulator really made me struggle while doing this, and it made me worry about future patterns I had to draw. After completing this pattern, it was time for our first competition. Here is where the actual gameplay starts. We are given a set pattern that we have to follow to complete a performance. There are combination patterns, impossible patterns to do on an emulator, where you have to complete 2 jump patterns in a rapid succession. Single jumps like the double toe loop and double salchow are also a thing, and there are also spins that are really easy to perform, so we don't have to worry about them much. We of course wear our super fashionable boxing gloves with our chic yellow dress and make our way to destroy our competition. Here's the gameplay issue with this game. After doing a set pattern, you have to wait and stare at your screen for a good 5 or so seconds before the next pattern even pops up. The gameplay is sluggish and not as fast as Elite B agents, so all you can really concentrate on is your character's voice and the awkward graphics from 2007, slowly anticipating your chance to have any semblance of fun by completing your next pattern. I will say though, the scene where your character hugs the coach is so cute and wholesome, so it's not the worst thing once you end up winning a competition. To pass this early town competition, you must at least reach 3rd place. This is the game in a nutshell. After learning complicated patterns, you would think the gameplay would be more immersive and challenging, but it really isn't. For beating the rest of the game, you can just cheese your way through by playing the extreme difficulty, which ironically makes this game a million times easier. You get to choose the patterns you want, and the scoring system does not care about repeat patterns, so you can pick 10 of the same late game patterns and win any competition that way. If this was not an option, I would not have been able to complete this game. I cheesed my way through by doing nothing but triple axles in the mid game and quadruple loops in the end game, making my experience dull and uneventful. What's even more painful though is your inability to progress the game without speaking to every single NPC in the game. After leveling up your stats and learning the technique for the week, you must talk to all NPCs every single time. The story is not compelling at all, so the best thing you can do is to just skip through the dialogue and hope you get a glimpse of anything interesting while mashing A. Tobias, the quiet, artsy, sensitive boy that enjoys music and flowers, becomes our boyfriend in the end. Julie, the girl you meet with purple hair at the beginning of the game, is jealous that Kevin is totally in love with us, so she tries to sabotage us from talking by always interrupting, or even by taking drastic measures like injuring herself with dumbbells. And you also meet a clerk lady. She sells you clothes and colors, and despite this, she has no name. She's literally named Clerk throughout the entire playthrough despite us having to interact with her every single week. Oh, I forgot to mention there's a dog in this game. His name is Milk, and we see him grow up throughout the game. He's fine. And finally, let me introduce you to the body shaming that this game put onto Jessica, our protagonist. Jessica celebrates a victory after winning a competition, so she decides to indulge herself on some sweets at the new restaurant that just opened. After doing so, our coach, Coach Summers, immediately notices our weight gain the next week and tells us to get back into shape and to not do such a thing again. This game tries to tell you that Coach Summers is in the right because right after this all happens, Jessica ends up getting sick with a cold and worries everyone around her.